Well, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Well Health Show. I'm Dr. Ben. Today we're going to be talking about if you are not doing this, you are not going to get any better. I'm going to tell you the story of exactly how we got to use red light therapy in our office, as well as genetic testing very specifically, and what they do for our bodies. And I think that they are crucial ingredients with anybody's healthcare plan, and here is why. Hello and welcome to the Dr. Ben Live podcast. This is the #1 natural health podcast on the internet. I'm Dr. Ben, founder of a multi-site, Jesus-loving wellness company called Well Health and Chiropractic. My mission is simple: to help you and your family build a legacy of great health using the normal function of the body that God already gave you. So if you're ready for straight talk, practical steps, and a fresh perspective on health, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Ben. Let's get started. All right, without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about it. So as a chiropractor, super proud to be a chiropractor, by the way. I love it. I'm third generation chiropractor. My grandpa's a chiropractor, uncle's a chiropractor. I was put on planet Earth to do this. Super exciting. Graduated, I was 25 years old. And then within a year of opening my first practice here in Hendersonville, Tennessee, we were like 800 people a week. It was a wild place. One of the largest chiropractic offices in the world. I'm the average chiropractor, adjusts about 100 people a week. There was a point where I was adjusting 1,100 people a week. It was incredible. Then the Lord, I feel like, downloaded me and told me, like, hey, listen, it's not sustainable for me to do that, but we can affect more people by reproducing and creating systems that other doctors can do what I'm doing and help more people, which is true because, again, we used to see 1,100 people a week. Now I can confidently tell you that in our clinics, we're adjusting well over 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people a week, really, and I'm not getting burned out, which is fantastic. So again, 2006 is when I graduated chiropractic college, and it was fun. Those were the glory days. That was before the stupid iPhone existed, and I think this is, by the way, the culprit. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's been a rough season, but our brains, but it affected us, and it affected our health. So before we had these cell phones, now we just adjust people and they get better. It was amazing. Like hot disc, I'd adjust you with a hot disc, a couple days, couple of adjustments, man, you're all better. We'd adjust people. I mean, it was incredible. If you came in and, again, we shot a set of x-rays, you had a pinched nerve going to your heart, we took the pressure off that nerve through an adjustment. We found that people came off their blood pressure medication. It was incredible. My dad being one of those people, he was at 55 years old on blood pressure medication. He's now 72 years old on no medication, and he attributes that success to chiropractic care and, doing healthy things, which is great. And that's what we teach and promote and have for all these years in our clinics. Well, it was all good and dandy until 2022. And I believe that it was a combination of stress. I think a lot of it was emotional stress. I think it's dopamine addiction to our phones. I think it's physical and tangible stress. So your body can only handle so much cortisol spikes in a day. And remember, the more cortisol spike you have, the lower your immune system is going to run. And the lower your immune system runs, the more you're going to get sick, the more your body fights other things and can't build itself. Because if your body is spending its whole life fighting viruses, fighting bacteria, fighting, histamines from our environment, it's not rebuilding tissue. And that's what you want your body to do. You want your body to be, rebuilding and replenishing your thyroid. You want it to rebuilding and replenishing your lungs, your heart, your skin, right? Your nails. You want that to happen. Well, your discs in your back, that's what you want your body to spend its time doing. But it is not, it's not able to do that when it's all maxed out on cortisol. Okay, so let's get back to the story. 2022, I was adjusting somebody down in our Santa Rosa Beach clinic. One of my personal friends named Jim. I was adjusting him, and it was wild. With it, like, he came in super smoking hot disc. Normally, I'm like, hey man, a couple of adjustments, you're going to be feeling better. A couple of weeks, this is going to be over. Dude, 6 weeks later, still struggling. And I was like, this isn't right. By the 8-week point, he was finally starting to see some results, but I'm like, something just doesn't feel right here. So what I did is I started asking around our other clinics, because at that point we had 15 clinics, and the doctors are like, yeah, we're seeing that. And as a matter of fact, one of my lead doctors said, not only are we seeing that, we're actually seeing that our x-ray changes aren't really happening. And I'm like, our x-ray, what are you talking about? Our x-ray changes? Yeah, because we do pre and post x-rays at our clinics. Pre and post x-rays don't change. Like, tell me about that. And we're looking through, and we start looking at these changes, like, back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, our if you came with a neck that was straight, boom, we got that thing curved, and it was pretty fantastic. And now, how more sophisticated and better we are, we're getting less change. So that really just, like, I don't really like this. So I started hitting the research, and turns out it's stress. And in my opinion, I think it's stress, and it's our body's lack of ability to heal on a cellular level, So I said, okay, well, how can we change this? And then the best study that I found on how we can do this, and by the way, I needed something that we could do that I could put in my clinics. What is something somebody could go, a bed that they could lay in, maybe a supplement they could take, something that's kind of quick and easy, because, I can't take more doctors' time to solve this problem, because the doctors are already doing a really great job and spending a lot of time adjusting people. I can't also give them a whole nother discipline that's going to take all their time away. An example of this would be like a barometric chamber. Anyways, because these chambers, and they're really great, what they do is they shove oxygen into your tissue, very healthy for you. They're just really expensive. It takes a really long time. And you can only have maybe a handful of people do it per day. Well, that's not our model. Our model is helping a lot of people per day, and we can't be spending, this much time. Also, our patients don't have that much time. So how can we do this a little more efficiently? So then I ran across a study in 2006. There was a 2016 study came out of Canada on braces. And they found that if you do 3.5 minutes one time per day with red light therapy with braces, that you will reduce the time to need metal wire braces from 104 days, ready for this, to 48 days with less pain. Because why? Because that red light therapy is going to stimulate your mitochondria to increase tissue healing. It really does three things, but we'll just call it increases tissue healing. Red light is very, very safe. It's very effective, but it really has to be two things. It has to be the correct wavelengths, and it has to be the correct power, right? It's got to be powerful enough to be what we call a class 2 laser, but not so powerful that it's what's called a class 4 laser. A class 4 laser, you have to and you can go to an office and get a class 4 laser. It's really cool. It works a little faster, but if you have to move it, and if you don't move it, it will literally burn you. And we don't want that. We want something where a patient can easily do it, where if they did it for an extra 10 minutes, they're not going to get burned. That would be terrible. So what we found is I said, okay, well, if we can do this class 2 laser moves your teeth, wonder how it does with your spine. So personally, I went and invested $50,000 in a red light therapy full body bed. It was incredible. And it was amazing. Literally the first day that thing gets dropped off, I was talking to a patient, both husband and wife, and they weren't getting better from the same disc issues that we were seeing before. And I was like, man, this is just terrible. And it had been 6 or 8 weeks, and again, marginally better. I'm expecting really good results though, because we expect excellence out of our clinics, and we weren't seeing excellent and quick results. So fast forward, I'm literally talking to this patient, and the bed gets delivered on the sidewalk behind me. No joke. So I go grab my screw gun, undo the bed. Me and Dr. Eric, we hauled this thing into our Santa Rosa Beach clinic. We ripped the plastic off of it. We told our patient, jump in there. Well, lay in there gently, and we're going to see how this works. Of course, our patient, he was like, man, how much is this going to cost? I'm like, trust me, it's free. Today's on the house. Just jump in there. Let me just see what happens. And how this is going to affect your condition. Red light's super safe for everything. But I said, you're good to go. And anyways, no joke. I will never forget. I might got to stand up to do this. He gets out, Nick. He gets out and he says, he limps in there, and then he gets out. And he's like, whoa. And he starts doing this right here. And he's like, what in the world was that? And I said, that's red light therapy. He goes, man. And it literally pulled the inflammation out of his disc in his back so quickly that he was seeing instant relief. From that point forward, Nick just saw exponential great results in the clinic. We put it in there. We started getting a lot of our patients on that red light therapy, specifically that bed. And we saw those x-ray changes come right back, which is amazing. It also triggered me, I'll show you this real quick, to actually invent this little fella. This is a red light therapy. This is the only red light therapy patented neck wedge. Because I said, okay, if we need to get this curve back in our neck, if you put red light therapy on your teeth and it gets gets better, well, what about red light therapy for a wedge? Because this is the exact shape of a wedge that we use, like a foam wedge. And I said, well, let's get red light in there, which is incredible. By the way, you can buy these. They're incredible. And this little piece comes out. You can do this at home. This piece comes out. This is the red light therapy, the actual device. You can put this anywhere you want. Put it in your thyroid, stimulate your thyroid cells. Put it in your shoulder for shoulder hurts, knee, elbows. My wife will put it, over her ovaries when it's time of the month, so that for cramping, I guess that's her uterus. And then that whole thing just comes right back in here for when you want to do it specifically for your neck. This is incredible for your, getting that curve back in your neck. particularly if you've been spending too much time over a computer or a phone. So I patented this device, by the way, super fun. I've got a co-patent on this. Very cool. So that is the red light therapy, and that's the story behind red light therapy. And it really, the thing is red light, it changed our life. Like, it was incredible. We saw our x-ray changes come back online. We saw our miracle board fill back up. Just like the most incredible results that you wouldn't expect from a small device. And again, that doesn't mean that it's reducing what chiropractic care does. What it does is it allows your body to heal at a cellular level, which is super important because we've got to get on a cellular level your body back engaged. Now, the other thing that we saw that was really interesting, we put in the red light therapy and saw incredible changes. And then we were still, and by the way, this is a hormone changes, women sleeping, like it was just really incredible to see that. However, there was one other thing that we were really just dealing with. And as I was diving into this research, like, okay, if stress is this big of a deal, are we hitting it at all levels? And the answer is no, we weren't. So chiropractic is incredible to get your neurology moving, take the pressure off the nerve, get your body, get the engineering back the way God designed it. That's like super important. The second thing is we add red light therapy. We stimulate your cells to heal at a tissue level, which is incredible. Hormones, the whole thing. Then we got to say, okay, well, how is stress affecting our environment? And what's the number one thing that you can do at home to reduce the way stress affects you? And one thing that we found is not everybody is affected the same way by stress. That's interesting. And the question is why? You know, I think it's really interesting because I'm one of those people, I'm like more of a cool cucumber. You know what I'm saying? Like I could be, cool. You guys are like, yeah, Dr. Ben, you're like the most spaz guy ever. But that's not true. Like I'm the kind of guy, I could have been an ER doc. You know, people come in with blood and guts. Like my brain like slows down. Right? That's how it slows down. That's how I deal with stress. You know, some other people, you know, they get stressed out and they're like freaking out. And then they like, you know, go in the corner and cry, you know, and they can't make that next decision. So why is it? Now, again, I think there's some of that's just physiology, how we're made. But I wanted to know, is there a genetic component? And turns out that there is. There is a thing and a test that we run in our clinics. Our genetic test. Here we go. Sorry, here it is. We do these max gen tests. We partner with this company and it was incredible. It turns out that there are certain specific genetic mutations that wildly affect how your body deals with stress. Very specifically, I'm going to pick on one called the MTHFR mutation. Now, you've probably heard of the MTHFR mutation, and very clearly, this is not the BRCA gene. This is like I'm not really interested in your genetics. Like, you're going to get breast cancer, you're going to get Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Like, that's kind of phooey. Like, I don't believe that your genetics are going to predetermine whether you're going to get a disease. I do believe that your genetics do affect how your environment affects you. Absolutely. So we went through and said, I want to know how food and nutrition is different and affects people person to person differently. And that made all the difference in the world. So it turns out MTHFR stands for methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, MTHFR. And what that means is that is an enzyme that your body produces to break down B vitamins. B vitamins are required to make your neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and then also one called glutathione. These are absolutely incredible neurotransmitters that you need to deal with stress. So, Dr. Ben, are you trying to tell me that there's a possibility that me, my wife, my sister, my grandma, somebody has this MTHFR mutation and their body can't effectively deal with stress, and because their body can't absorb the vitamins, and there's a possibility that they could take a vitamin and it would affect the way their body's ability to deal with stress? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Wow, that is a game changer. Turns out, this is over 100 genetic tests in here, different SNPs as we call them, little pieces of your genes, that allows us to see how does your body deal with the world around it? How does it deal with nutrition specifically? We also want to know, like, how does your body, would you be somebody who would do really good with intermittent fasting or not? That's something we can test for. Now, what's interesting right now, we're learning about Tylenol. We've been testing this for a while. There is a mutation on a genetic level that if you have this genetic mutation, you will be hypersensitive to Tylenol. So that, again, science is like, well, we can't tie Tylenol, to, some people are affected by Tylenol and it causes, it stimulates autism, because what it's actually doing is depleting your body very quickly of glutathione. And when you have no glutathione, that's going to take away a lot of your detox pathways that prevents toxins from going directly to your brain and crossing the blood-brain barrier. That's what glutathione does for you. It helps you, it supports you. Well, if you have this certain genetic mutation, or your children does, taking Tylenol is going to affect them way worse. Interesting, right? Well, that's why we do that. And we have this test now. And not only that, we find out if you've got this MTHFR mutation, this other Tylenol mutation. There's also some really good ones that have to do with blood sugar. Those people that are dealing with blood sugar issues and diabetes, we can find genetically, maybe your body doesn't produce some of these insulin receptors, or they're negatively affected, and we can give you certain vitamins that allows your body to create the components that can more effectively regulate your blood sugar, or maybe more effectively regulate your dopamine, your serotonin, your neurotransmitters. Because at the end of the day, if your body can effectively produce serotonin and dopamine at a higher, and glutathione at a higher level, you are going to better be able to deal with the world's stress without necessarily needing an SSRI or one of the antidepressant medications. Pretty cool, right? So really, that's just kind of where we got to, where we are. I wanted to take this podcast time and really just talk about, I love chiropractic, but that's why and how we put red light therapy in. I think everybody should use it. It's incredible. I think everybody should have one of these. My wife and I, man, we use this thing. We're like old people. I used it last night. My kid used it actually last night. What did he use it on? Hurt his wrist his finger. My kid, we're playing flag football now. He is 9 and he jammed his finger and it was still hurting him. So we put the red light therapy on there and literally loosened up his finger and he was good to go. And we're still gonna have to deal with his finger healing, but it speeds up the healing at the tissue level. Just what an incredible tool to have at your disposal. So I'm gonna recommend, red light therapy is a really cool thing. In our chiropractic offices, we do full body red light therapy. I think that is a game changer when it comes to what it is that we do. Because at the end of the day, you have to take care of your spine. Like when your vertebrae get arthritic and degenerated, then you can't turn your head anymore. Turns out that's real bad. And particularly when you're 50, 60, 70 and your discs start blowing out in your neck and your back, that's terrible for you. And you can't really reverse that. We can help it. We can get a little bit more range of motion. We can stop it, but we can't go back to the way that was when you were like 20, 30, or 40. We also find, statistically that most people by the age of 17 already have a severe amount of ligament damage, and that's where your arthritis starts. It starts with the ligament damage. So there's things that you do in high school, football, sports, getting clipped, when you're playing soccer and somebody nails you, playing volleyball and somebody takes you out from the side, all those things add up. And we deal with those later. But the younger that you can deal with those, the sooner we can get those those bones in the right position, get those ligaments aligned, you are all set. So that being said, we're also putting together, if you're watching this, by the way, podcast, make sure to please subscribe, thumbs up, like it. We're trying to make this more of a PG podcast for YouTube, but we're going to put together a course that you can purchase. It's going to be at a low price, and you can grab this course, and it's going to be all the secrets. It's going to be the stuff like, what do you do? What are the remedies? What have I seen in the last 20 years? Plus all the combined research of all the things that we've done to help things like strep throat, anxiety, depression, sleep, thyroid, heart disease, cancer, weight loss, all those things we're going to put into a nice little course so that way you can just watch it. I would love to tell you what 20 years of experience gets you and how I haven't been to the medical doctor since I was 17, right? Other than, I guess, my shoulder surgery, my knee surgery, because I'm terrible at board sports, apparently. My kids are very healthy. My wife does not take medication. And we don't get that way because we're lucky. We get that way because we work hard. We're disciplined in the areas that make a difference. And I want that for you and your family. But we will talk about that on a later date. So be looking out for that. I'm sure once we have it, we will put it in the show notes here in the description so you can link to that. In the meantime, we've got a lot of products that we can put in the description, so make sure you look below. And this has been this week's episode of the Well Health Show. Again, hopefully that makes sense, because we want to guide you and your family toward a legacy of amazing health, and that's what we want for you all. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for watching. If you've never been to a Well Health Center, make sure that you click below, grab an appointment, come on in. I'm sure we've got a special from this show is $40 that you can get your exam consult, x-rays. Jump on in. We'd love to see you. I'm Dr. Ben. We'll catch you next week.